our feet.
Right. Put this on some lines. Yeah, that's cool. We're totally. Sounds good.
Great.
Gazing down on the Jungfrau
from our secret chalet for two,
let us drink lips and mine
in the moonlight benign,
to the joy of our dream come true.
what a perfect night for love.
Here I hear you
And we're live. Welcome to Music Matters 2020. I'm your host, Jason Tramm, and we're delighted you can join us for our new and unique podcast community, where we explore the issues in music in 2020 with its myriad challenges and issues, and we look at stories of innovation in this period. So thank you so much for joining us. Please remember to subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit that subscribe bell and the bell icon for the most up-to-date information on upcoming guests and topics. Also, check out our website at www.jasontram.net for our past 58 episodes and plus all of our upcoming episodes, and find out more about us. Like our videos and share them, and help us to grow as a community. Remember to use the chat feature to ask questions and join in our conversation, because the more people that join in, the better it is and more interesting. So we have a wonderful show today. We have Mr. Dimitri Pittas and Leah Edwards calling us from Charleston, South Carolina, where both of these distinguished artists are residents, and they've established a new opera company, Holy City Arts and Lyric Opera. And we're delighted to sit down with them today to talk about their lives and their careers and the beginning of this new exciting company. So welcome, Dimitri, and welcome, Leah.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
How's the weather today out in South Carolina?
It's perfect.
78 and sunny with a slight breeze.
Doesn't get any better than that.
October 14th, yeah.
So I'm meeting Leah for the first time virtually. I've heard so much about you for many years. And Dimitri I've met before back in college at the Crane School of Music about 1 million years ago.
Yeah, feels like it, doesn't it?
It does. It's great to catch up. Why don't we start with Leah? Tell us about your artistic journey, your distinguished career as you've done so many things incredibly well, from being a pianist to a Broadway performer, studying opera. There's so many things. So dig in. Take us through the journey.
Oh gosh. Well, when I was born on the 4th of July, so we knew from that moment on it was going to be just a spotlight situation. No, I actually started as a gymnast and moved from there to ballet and was a ballerina for until I had to make a big choice at 10 years old. I just couldn't do everything. And so I actually had, splitting between ballet and piano, I went the piano route, but in order to keep up dancing, started doing hip hop and jazz and tap and things like that, sort of as a hobby. And then was a pianist, went to Interlochen Arts Academy for high school, camp and high school. And then from there went to Eastman School of Music in Rochester, that sort of upstate New York situation. And I've always been a collaborative pianist. I did a lot of chamber music camps and things like that, growing up as a pianist. And at Eastman, your freshman year, they really want you to focus on being a soloist. And that was really hard for me because collaboration had always been a huge part of my musical journey. And so when I shared that struggle with my teacher, she said, great, let's get you into some collaboration. They won't let you play chamber music, but they'll let you accompany for a voice studio, which everyone thought, it turns out, as I learned, they thought would be a good way to be like, she'll quit really quickly. So
singers are not the easiest beast to deal with, as you know.
Little did they know.
That's right. So but I fell so in love with this teacher and watching what she could, the pianist is always the fly on the wall in a voice lesson setting. And she just people would come in and not be able to like carry a tune in some cases. And she just, by the end of the hour, and then certainly by the end, watching the semester go by, I was so entranced by the way your brain and your body would first not be working together as a singer, but as your brain understood the concept and then your body sort of fell in line. I just thought it was really remarkable that we can do that as humans and that it can be trained and that it was making a big difference. And so I asked if I could take a lesson with this teacher, and she sort of, did one of these, I'll hear you, I guess. And I did, and she just, said, I misunderstood. You need to change trajectories, go sing. You must be singing. So I did. And so I changed my major halfway through undergrad. And then had to pursue grad school as a singer, which was terrifying, but it worked out because I did my master's, ended up doing it at Juilliard, and moved on from there doing, we all sort of, whoever hires you, that's who you end up working for. And so that's how I found my way back into Broadway and musical theater. Is because I get to now use all my dance training and my piano training and it's sort of been a really great way for me to land combining everything that I've spent a very long time learning how to do.
It's amazing. Everything circles back, isn't it? All your life experience winds up coming with you.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
Let's transition to Mr. Dimitri. So Dimitri, tell us about your development. I know I've seen your high def broadcasts at the Metropolitan Opera and your careers. Tell us about your journey.
Well, as you mentioned earlier, we met at the Crane School of Music, and most of the people that go to Crane School of Music go to become educators, which I also did. I was among that 90%. Especially being a Long Islander, which is where a lot of them end up coming back and teaching.
They certainly do.
Yeah, and so but while I was there, I ended up in the voice studio of somebody who, of Dr. Robert Lowe, and he wasn't a doctor at the time, he is now, and Bob kind of showed me my potential for being an opera singer, and he pushed me for it, and I am grateful to this day about that. So I changed my degree on my 7th semester from education to performance, and I went and did a master's program and a year of an artist diploma at McGill University in Montreal, studying with his teacher, Bill Neal, and his wife Dixie Ross Neal. And
teachers are really important in this journey.
Yeah, it definitely is. And that kind of got it going. And I did a couple of young artist programs. My first one was Des Moines Metro Opera, where they paid us about $700, maybe $750 for the entire summer, but they housed us, which was nice. And they flew us out there. So basically the $750 was for groceries. And honestly, like that $750 goes a really long way in Des Moines in the early 2000s. I mean, you could go in to the grocery store and buy a London broil that was like 7 times the size of your face, and it was only like $3.50. Or like literally 18 eggs was 36 cents. I mean, just crazy prices like that. And so that was great. And then I went into Santa Fe Opera as an apprentice artist, and eventually into the Lindemann program at the Metropolitan Opera. And that kind of got everything going from there. And I've been singing professionally basically since 2005 or 2006. And then COVID.
And then
COVID, right? That's the next chapter. So, how did you two meet?
We met in Santa Fe, actually. Leah at that point in 2006 was an apprentice artist. And I was a principal artist. It was my first time coming back there singing as a principal, and we met there, and it just kind of blossomed from there. That was in 2006. We got married in 2010, and we just celebrated our 10th anniversary together, which is really wonderful. Yeah, we got married on her birthday, which is the 4th of July. So just in case if I forget either things, I'm really in the doghouse.
Well, prior to now, we didn't actually get to spend a great deal of time together, so we like to consolidate holidays.
Yeah, make sure we can celebrate them all at once. You know, the life of an opera singer is on the road all the time. I mean, there were some years when I was home maybe 2 months out of the entire year, and those 2 months were sporadically placed throughout the entire 365 days. So it's just, it was very helpful to be able to say, I absolutely need that time off, because not only is it her birthday, but it's my anniversary. So it helps.
Yeah, it must be really challenging with your travel schedule and with her travel schedule and finding that time. Do you travel a lot together? Is it possible?
Yeah, we try to. I think everybody does this differently. People who are in who are both in the business. Some people really like being away from their spouses. We happen to really like each other, so we can do we have overextended our away period. We do about 6 weeks apart,
Yeah.
and then
It started at 4 weeks, and but after that month period, but over the years we managed to extend it to 6 weeks. But at 6 weeks, we need to kind of be together, even if it's for a long weekend or a week or something like that. We're just saying hi to our 3.5-year-old son who's going upstairs.
Aww. And how is having 2 children? Obviously, you have 2 beautiful children. How does that change your schedules, and how do you negotiate that into your very busy lives?
Yes. How
does one do that during a pandemic?
If anyone has suggestions, we're open to. No. That actually has been part of the reason why we moved down here, is that we have a lot more space. We have our studio is in our home now, instead of when we were in New York. We don't have to rent a space to have the studio and then make sure that you're there on time and find, we have a much freer schedule down here to do things around our own schedules and also around the schedules of our kids. Yeah. They also love playing outside, and we can see from our studio to the front yard. So and we live in a place where that's acceptable for our children to play outside while we can see them through a window. So we're very, that has been wonderful.
Yeah.
But I also have not been doing as much of that. I like to do the traveling around the world and singing a gig here and there, but mostly letting me raise babies and him sing a lot.
I mean, certainly when they came along, they didn't travel as much, especially if I was only on a month-long contract. It didn't really make a lot of sense to try and, uproot an 8-month-old or a 15-month-old, to just try and. So we kind of, that's really when the month extended to 6 weeks or so. But I mean, yeah, even just last fall, I was in Wales for 4 months. It was a long contract, and they came in about halfway. Leah was pregnant with our second child at the time, and they managed to still come out for 10 or 12 days out to England, which was really, really great. It was kind of a mini vacation for all of us. But that was 2 months into a 4-month contract, and it's really hard sometimes when that happens to just stay away that long. And thank goodness we have things like Skype and FaceTime where you can stay connected and be seeing the people and kind of still feel like you're emotionally attached to them. It's very, very helpful compared to 30, 40 years ago, when they would have to sit at a phone and call the operator to make sure that a long distance call went through so they could say hi to their family once a week. Just crazy. I can't imagine living in that kind of world.
There must be no manual for the life that you live. That's such an interesting point, and how you two make it work and how you raise your children. It's really incredible. You're doing wonderful. So talk about the changes when COVID hit in March. How did that affect each of you and your careers as performers?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's been, I don't want to, it's hard to say that positive things came out of this, but for us, it's been, we are back together and we get to be a family. Yeah. So that was something that's very lovely. Dimitri was supposed to be gone until May and was called back in the middle of March. So we got a good 8-week reprieve of that. So that was nice. Yeah. But also we don't get a chance to sing together very frequently. And we had been planning starting this company here for about 2 years, which is always, when your business partner is far away, that's also a pretty tough thing to start and keep going. Yeah. So it actually was really advantageous for us to be able to be together and to be able to solidify our plans for this company and be together as a family and co-parent. That was really exciting. Yeah.
So tell me about Holy City Arts and Lyric Opera. How did you decide to come up with this concept? You have 2 distinguished artists living in this town, and what made you both decide to start this new endeavor?
Well, I'll start it with a little tidbit, if you will. Charleston, South Carolina, is the birthplace of opera in North America, and I don't know how many people know that or not, but it's true. In 1735, the first opera that was ever performed on this continent happened in downtown Charleston. It was a ballad opera called Flora, which they brought over from London, a production, and they performed it in the upstairs of the Sheepshead Tavern above the courtroom. Yeah. And it was such a smashing success that they brought that production back the following year and performed it that season in the Dock Street Theater, which was recently built. And that Dock Street Theater is the first building in the 13 colonies that was built for the purpose of entertainment. It was the first theater.
What an incredible story. Who was the composer, and who, what a great story.
So the ballad opera called Flora was written by a guy named John Gay.
Beggar's Opera.
Yeah, exactly. So he basically what they did is it's like a 1730s version of Mamma Mia, where they take all of the really popular songs of the time, which happened to be coming from other operas and Handel and things like that, where they would take out these numbers and string them together with dialogue to make storyline. And that's how that particular genre of opera was created. And so that's the first thing that was performed here in 1735.
But when we moved down here, we really did come here to hide. We spend a lot of time in the major metropolitan spaces of the world, and I personally need trees and space and breathing room. And so we came down here. We wanted to be essentially on perma vacation whenever we were home, and we had come here sort of on a whim, and we came one time for 36 hours and came back about 6 weeks later and bought a house because we loved it. So also I said, if we hate it, we'll move again. So we why not, right? So we came here and but really wanted to be a part of a community. We didn't want to, be these prominent singers who are down here. We really wanted to be in yoga clothes and garden and, have beers with our neighbors and just hang out.
Just for the record, I do the beers with the neighbors. I don't do the yoga clothes.
So much has changed since college.
But as we had opportunities to perform down here, and our neighbors had gotten to know us, and it was just like that neighborly thing where you go to your neighbor's concert if you're, but nobody knew anything about opera or musical theater or really classical performance. And people got really interested in it. And the more, because they knew suddenly that they could ask us questions, that we don't do this, oh, you don't know that? You don't know what an aria is? Ooh. We don't do any of that because I think it's much more, warm and fuzzier to teach people about what you do instead of telling them that they, instead of shutting them out. And so we really structured the company as that is our mission, is to engage the Low Country community in that conversation, in learning about classical music, and doing that through the high quality performance of, our friends that also just want to come down, hang out at a beach and have some beers with people at night, but do what they do professionally. And so it's been really wild. I'll, talking more about how it all, we accidentally launched it, which is so very Charleston of all of this. We had big plans for black tie and glamour and, a big blowout production, and then COVID. And we ended up just giving a concert for our neighbors, barefoot in our driveway. And they were so excited, and they said, great, let's do this weekly. And then the second week, one of our neighbors called, all the news stations were looking for good news stories. And one of our neighbors called the news and was like, this is the time, this is their address, come and learn their story. They're so great. And so all of a sudden they live streamed a concert that, the next week's concert, and it was 20,000 people around Charleston watched it and enjoyed it, and were commenting about how, oh, why don't we have opera here? And this is so great. And so we, very unglamorously launched. We were like, so by the way, this is an opera company. Here you go.
That's so exciting that in a time of need when people are hurting for music, you were there to provide that. Who better than such distinguished artists to provide that for your community? It's really a great story.
Thanks.
Thank
I mean,
you.
well, we know the healing qualities of music, right? And there's scientific evidence to it as well. We're finding out more and more that that those that are suffer from Alzheimer's, when a certain piece of music comes, it all of a sudden the brain just kind of hyper focuses, and they're suddenly completely there, and they're taken back to that moment, and it happens, and so. But the emotional side of it too, and to take that one step further, that the connection that an audience member has with the performer is a very intimate, a very powerful thing, and with a lack of performing and a lack of theater and a lack of everything, that makes it very, very difficult for that to happen. And so we felt like we needed to give our community at least that comfort and that joy, even if it was only for a half an hour or 40 minutes, where for that time they could listen to some opera, watch some opera being performed with two people that, by the way, could stand next to each other and hold each other and kiss and, tell a story.
Twice as scandalous all of a sudden to touch my husband
during a pandemic in public. Yeah, it was really like, and so, but it was to see the return of that. It's really been amazing and really worth it. And to know that we are helping people get through their days, sometimes get through their weeks or through their months even. They come up to us after our concerts and they say, you changed my outlook on this whole thing because of the ability to just sit down and watch something live. And that's a powerful thing. And that's why we've been doing it. I mean, we're creeping up on 100 performances of this.
Wow. When did you start? When did you first start the first of those performances?
April 16th was the very first concert.
Yeah.
So November 5th will be our 100th.
Yeah.
How exciting. Now, I saw a video online that you were performing, and I saw a truck with a piano on it. So describe that, how that came into being.
Why, yes, that is exactly how we're doing this. When we our first concert, our pianist friend who works with us a lot here, we said, we want to sing together. Can you, what are you doing? He's like, yeah, okay, let me throw my keyboard in my car and I'll just come sit in your driveway and you guys can stand on the porch and that'll be great.
And we were all for that.
Very for that. And then he said, actually, give me a second. I'm going to, if we're going to do this in the driveway, let me call the music store and see if they'll give us a piano. And so with that, all of a sudden we all got looped in on a call with the music store. And I was like, I don't care if you bring it in a pickup truck. Let's do it. And then this pickup truck showed up in my driveway with a real piano. And we gave this concert, and it was just the dichotomy of singing opera in front of a pickup truck, barefoot in your driveway, but with all the knowledge and all the experience of having done it in the great stages of the world. It was so fun and weird and exciting for everyone. And so we did that.
Yeah.
We have this awesome piano. It's a hybrid upright, actually, so it's not ruining the piano for all people concerned for the piano. It's a hybrid electric that Yamaha made. It's called the NU1X. And it's got the digital touch of a real piano and the sound of a Yamaha upright, but it doesn't get ruined by being on a pickup truck.
They made MIDI files of every note from what they consider to be their most glorious instrument. And it's a huge, each file is huge, but the amount of data in each one of those tones is amazing. And so when they translated it into these hybrids, it plays like a real piano. The touch is very much like a regular piano. The sound that comes out of it is very much like a regular piano. We wanted to replicate as real an environment, a musical environment as possible. And so that's why we wanted to go specifically with a sound like that. We would have loved to have put an actual upright, but the second an upright goes over a bump in a pickup truck, it goes
Out
out.
of tune. Yep, it's out of tune. Good point.
A lot of what people have said to us is the sort of visceral reaction that audience members get from listening to opera or whatever. I mean, we're all trained to use our bodies as the instruments, and people don't know that. It's really, that's been one of the most surprising things to me, is that people just assume that all singers on stages use microphones. And this experience has been, if they learn nothing else, it's that we don't use microphones. And as we are able to give these concerts in the purest form possible, it's been really impactful. For people to hear the sound and to see it all up close, see the spit, see the sweat, see the, when I don't know my words and I just sort of glass over and Dimitri looks like the world is going to be okay. And likewise, when he changes repertoire mid-concert because he's like, I'm not prepared to sing this, so we're going to do something else.
She's way more adaptable than I am.
It's been, so now we have our whole setup is we actually have our own pickup truck at this point. We needed one for the family to tote the kids as well, but
they've come to a majority of our concerts.
They must have come to the first 6 months with, because
that must be so special for them, because I'm sure they can't get to most of the performances when they're traveling the world. So this must be very special for the whole family.
Yeah, and our son, our older one, Stellan, he says to us, he says, "Are you guys going to sing a concert?" And I could see that he wants us to like invite him to bring him along because he really loves going to them. And so it's great to watch that too, and to see like where we have come from through these 8 months, in his eyes in particular, is something that's really wonderful. Yeah.
So what are some of the testimonies we're getting? I saw some in your website, some wonderful testimonies about people's reactions after not hearing music for so long, then to hear live music in the streets, around you, surrounding you. What has been the reaction you're getting from your audiences?
I mean, it's all been overwhelmingly positive, but even the people with stories of, I love the honesty that we've been getting from people. Everybody's in a place where everyone's just over saying things they don't mean. And whatever comes out is real. And this woman walks up and she goes, I'm going to start this story with there's a positive ending, but I was dragged here today. I do not like opera. I don't want to have anything to do with opera. I don't like the people associated with opera. She's like, and I apologize. I have lived my whole life incorrectly because what you guys just did for me was make me a lifelong opera fan. If there are people like you that are willing to give what you just gave, shame on me for not wanting to accept it.
What an amazing testimony.
It was incredible, but I'm always standing there too, and I'm going from like, you were dragged here. Oh no, how is this gonna go? What did I not, and like my brain is just wild. She said, you're not saying anything. And I was like, I'm just trying to process what just happened. I think you liked it. And she's like, I liked it. It's been, everything from people weeping and saying, is that an insult? I want to be, we finished the Act 1 Madame Butterfly duet, which is to us, one of the most powerful moments in opera. And she was sitting there weeping. She's like, I don't even know why I'm crying. Is that okay? I don't want it to be insulting. And we're like, no, that's that.
Yes.
That's the core of what opera is, right? To move people's hearts.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So it's been truly, the mission was to engage the community, and what really is happening is they're engaging us as much as we are engaging them. And we've had the ability to shape the company as we're building it because of the reactions that we're getting and what people want to hear and why they're feeling this way. And it's been a huge asset to be able to have these audiences and their reactions.
So at a time when most performances are halted and grounded, while the opera industry is almost at a standstill, you've created something of your own that has become so successful, and you've been performing the whole time. What are some of your plans moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, as much as any other opera company at this point, we are all looking forward to being able to get back into a theater. But the fact is that we don't. It's out there, but it's not something pressing for us right now. We've been doing what we've been doing outdoors, successfully engaging our community, and we want to continue doing that outdoors. And so we will do that, and we do have plans coming up that in time everything kind of will be fleshed out for our public. But we want to continue to engage. Oh, we can tell them about that. That's for sure.
You're our exclusive in the moment.
Yeah, this is
Do tell.
Nobody knows this.
You
yet
heard it
because
here
we
first.
haven't made the announcement.
We have partnered with a local drive-in movie theater, and we will be sponsoring performances of the HD broadcasts from the Metropolitan Opera for our public, and they will be free showings of these for the community. And the only stipulation is, of course, is that we're going to give a little bit of a concert first.
Perfect.
So so we'll give a 10 or 15 minute concert as the sun is going down, and it's gonna so we're gonna play a series of various great productions and great performances with great artists from the Metropolitan Opera, and it's going to be free for our community, which we're really, really, really excited about.
And who better than you to be involved with that, because you were involved in some of those wonderful broadcasts.
Yes, I was involved in a few of them. I don't know that we're going to be playing any of those actually, but just because of licensing issues and things like that. But there are a lot of really, really great ones. The first one that we're going to do, are we allowed to say that?
I don't know. Sure. Yeah.
Sure, why not? So the first one we're going to do is Cendrillon, Massenet Cendrillon from the Met. I'm not sure the year, but it's with Joyce DiDonato singing the title character, and it's we're really, really, really excited about that because it's a gorgeous production that actually Leah premiered in Santa Fe.
I was just going to say the fun thing about being the boss all of a sudden is that I get to pick the stuff I really like. Yeah. And I am partial to that production because that was my second apprentice summer in Santa Fe. We premiered that production. That's really it's really
gorgeous Laurent Pelly production, just really beautiful, and we're really, really, really excited about that because also it's Cendrillon, it's Cinderella, so it's very easy for children to remain engaged in it as well, and because of the production in particular, it's so imaginative and so beautiful and so fun, and a lot of really fun turns and gorgeous things to look at that people will be able to bring children as well, and they'll be able to enjoy it from the comfort of their own cars or the back of their pickup trucks, which is really great.
That's been the thing that I was going to say too. The audience that we've been engaging, I'm sorry I didn't, when you asked about the testimonial, I failed to share my favorite testimonial ever was from a 3-year-old who was not my own. And we gave a concert. As our friends around town have found out that we're doing this, they say, "Ooh, I want, come to my house." My driveway. So we have, we were over at a friend's. She lives across from a park, and so we sort of gave it half at her driveway and half at the park. And she, because it's a neighborhood with kids, I mean, primarily it was a family friendly thing. She had called an ice cream truck just in case the kids weren't interested. At least there's ice cream. And this 3-year-old little boy, at some point we were explaining Bohème or whatever it was we were talking about just before we sang, and he sat there, he had ice cream dripping all over him.
He raised his hand.
We
said, "Oh yes, a question. We're engaging the young kids. Please go ahead. Do you have something to say? Do you have a question?"
And he looks at us straight-faced and goes, "I love opera. Could you guys talk less and sing more?" And we were like, "Yes.
Let's stop
We'll
talking.
do that." But his mother came up to us after and she said, I've never seen that child sit still ever in his life. He was completely captivated and he was eating ice cream. Like, blew my mind. Please come back anytime. So it's just been, it's been totally wild watching. We believe that opera is for everybody, right? We actually, the tagline for the company is actually opera for y'all, because, and all that encapsulates, we want it to be community driven. We want it to be, what our community thinks opera is, things like that. And we want it to be from, newborn to 110. I don't remember what the oldest person in Charleston is. 103.
Probably close to that.
Anyway, but we've had the opportunity to perform for kids, to perform for teenagers, to perform at a lot of these assisted living facilities around town and graduated living facilities, and people who are the most vulnerable right now, and haven't been able to even see their families. And we've gone out into one facility. We couldn't come in and nobody could come out. So we stood in the parking lot with the truck and we sang 360 and people opened their windows and we did it that way. And it was magical because they were able to see it and hear it and feel it viscerally without putting themselves in harm's way too.
Music for the people is such a powerful image, and we all need music so badly now. I mean, there's lots of people doing streaming and online concerts, but to actually have the live component, that is really special.
Yeah, I mean, back in March, I was on contract. I was in London, and I came home. The contract was canceled, and so I came home. And for that, week or two afterwards, I was, on Facebook, and people were kind of sitting in their living rooms, recording on their iPhones, singing, Over the Rainbow, or lots of things that were cathartic for them, but also cathartic for their fans. And that is very, very, very important. And I don't think that you can take away from that. But what we wanted to do was try and engage them by going to them, by bringing it to people, instead of saying, okay, we'll be streaming online. You can watch it from your living room if you want, because now you have a smart TV, an Apple TV or whatever. So that's why we decided to start going into driveways, into cul-de-sacs, in front of clubhouses of HOAs and things like that. That's because we felt like by bringing it to them, we were bringing them an experience. We were getting them out of their house, but still being safe in the outdoors. And I should also say, our concerts are also safe. We will not do a concert if we feel like we are putting ourselves or our audience at risk of anything. If there are a lot of people there, we encourage them to wear masks, or absolutely stay at least 6 feet apart. And you know what? For the most part, the people that are coming to these concerts do that. They want to be there and they understand the risk. And so they come and they park their beach chairs or their blankets down on the lawn, very far away from people. And when they do approach their neighbors who they haven't seen in a while, the masks go on. And we're very, very, very happy about that. And we only had the cops called on us once, which was also really exciting.
Opera.
Do tell us about that.
Well, it was in a community
that is known for their revelry.
Yes. And
perhaps their not so distant revelry. And it turns out a neighbor of said rambunctious
revelers
crowd was uncomfortable about that, and
we heard it had more to do with the fact that a construction vehicle couldn't get by because there were a lot of people blocking the road, because people showed up in their golf carts and things like that. And
once a concert sprouts up, people are going to just come from all over the place.
Right. And so we're not really sure what happened with that, but we only had one number to go before our concert was over too, which we were really bummed about. But it's thank goodness nothing happened from that, and we haven't heard any issues of people being in trouble since that incident. So, but we definitely those are the two tenets: is that we keep everybody safe as we can keep them, and we also keep our concerts short so that we're not gathering people together for too long.
So tell me about the educational programs you're running as well. I've seen a few of them online. I see there's a series of them. So you're running that concurrently?
Yeah. Yes. On top of going out and
In your spare time, I assume.
Yeah.
Yes. I once
Exactly.
described it to somebody. So we're wearing our performing hats for 8 hours a day. We're wearing our administrative hats for 8 hours a day, and we're wearing our parenting hats for 8 hours a day,
Yeah.
which leaves 0 time for sleep. But it's, it is,
Starting a nonprofit is not really time for sleep, it turns out.
Yeah.
People
it's overrated.
also having children, not a
No.
time for sleep.
No.
So just in general, while I'm not sleeping.
Having done both of those things, 4 children and multiple nonprofits, I know exactly what you're talking about. It is a challenge before COVID. I can only imagine during COVID doing all this.
Challenge of the pandemic. I mean, our son is not in preschool. We decided to keep him home. So the combination of that plus our youngest, who's only 10 months old now at this point, it's definitely posed a lot of challenges. But they are 2 of the most understanding souls that we know, and we're very grateful every day that they put up with their parents, because we certainly ask a lot of them, and they have been really wonderful the entire time.
And I will say, because she's still here and she can hear me, although I would tout her glories anyway, we found a magical babysitter, and she's here for circumstances just like this, because nap time is not a thing that our children like to do anyway, and especially when they can see that we're doing other things, they're like, oh, definitely not a time to nap. I definitely should be making an appearance.
Getting your attention.
So we have a magical babysitter who, believes very deeply in this pandemic.
Graduated
With her degree in public health. We're just going to talk about it now. But so she is here, and she is amazing, and a theater nerd herself, and just has been hanging out, and the boys love her, and we love her, and it's awesome. So we that aspect we thought we were gonna have to figure out another time, but then this magical genie came into our life, and she's here now too. So
Thanks, Haley, wherever you are.
Shout out to Haley for helping make this stuff possible, because it is quite an investment of time and resource, and all of your combined knowledge and your energy. But obviously you're both people with incredible energy. It just comes through in every word you speak, and you're very lucky. Your community is so lucky to have you there and to be an advocate for your art forms.
Thank you. Yeah, we definitely feel like anytime we talk to people about what it is that we're doing, I don't know if it's us or if it's what we're talking about, but there is an addictive quality about it, and the people that we speak with get really amped up about it, which we're very happy with.
We also don't ever answer questions directly, it turns out.
Right.
But so since you asked,
we're doing other things for the community. We started about 6 weeks ago. We started what we're calling an Opera 101 class. It takes place every Tuesday at 2 o'clock on Zoom. Also, just like this, it's a live. We could have pre-recorded things in the can, pre-recorded a lecture, and made sure that everything lined up perfectly. But you lose the element of spontaneity. And we felt like it would be going against what it is that we've been doing with our social distancings, going out and engaging the public by suddenly putting things and hyper producing them. So we decided to just keep them live. We do record them and put them up on YouTube. But it's just a great way, because you can see the people while we're in the lecture. You can see the people reacting to the information we're sharing or to the musical clips that we're playing. And it's so much better that way, to be able to feel that connection with them. And so that's been happening. And we do a combination of talking about either one particular opera or a few operas or a genre. We also have conversations with other professionals in the industry right now. Some great people coming up in the next couple of weeks. A few weeks ago, we had Mark Campbell, who is an award-winning librettist and lyricist. And that conversation was amazing. Next week, we have Daniel Slater, who's a stage director, and talk about how an opera comes to being, how a production comes to being, from its inception to opening night and everything in between that, because we want the audience to know about those things too. Like, yes, it's about the magic of seeing what's happening on stage, but it's more fun when you also know a little bit about what's happening behind it as well.
Well, and I think that's part of what people have been telling us, is that it's part of what makes it so unapproachable is that they don't know anything about how it happens. They don't know about the rehearsal process. They don't know about when we learn what we're learning. They don't know, one of the most common questions is, do you guys sing all the language? Do you speak all the languages that you sing in? And, all of these different questions that people, once they have the barriers removed, there's so much more. It's not that people don't like the long, beautiful lines. It's not that they don't sit through 2.5 hours of entertainment, right? I mean, that's the Avengers is 3.5 hours. I mean, I live for an Avenger movie, but
Game of Thrones and such, yeah.
Exactly.
Sitting binge watching Netflix, for 3-4 hours in a night, very, very easy to do.
Very easy. They make it simple.
Yeah.
Right. So that's exactly right. You have to make it simple for people to want to go and see it and make it not stuffy and make it not elitist and make it, all these things that it's really not. I mean, we sort of one of our bits in our concerts is like, ever had an illicit affair that you couldn't tell anyone about? There's an opera for that.
I love it. That's great.
For your spouse's friend, there's an opera for that. I mean, like, it's all the feelings that we experience as humans. It just happens to be. And if you don't want to learn Italian, French, German, Russian, Czech, whatever, if that doesn't speak to you, go to the English ones, right? You don't like every book you read, but for some reason, people don't cross off books. Right?
Just because you read one book you didn't like, you're like, I'm not gonna read books anymore.
But once you tell them that you don't have to cross off opera because you don't like opera, you didn't like one opera, believe me, I've seen some really bad opera. But I know a lot of us have seen some really bad opera. But you can't let that one, allowing people to know, to give them permission to not like an opera or parts of an opera, or tell me what you don't like about it, it re-engages them. It gives them permission to go and find something else that they might like, and giving them resources so you don't have to like sort through the giant pile that is opera.
Right.
Say, why don't you...
It can seem like an overwhelming topic to those who may not have ever delved into it. But once you break it down, it demystifies it, opens the doorway, and people can realize that these are just human emotions, just like any great story.
Exactly. Right. That's exactly right. So that's... you want to come down? You can give our speech with us.
Well, it's wonderful. I spend a lot of my time teaching undergraduates, and every year I have them singing in the chorus to operas in concert. And they get to experience it. Many of them have never seen an opera or been a part of an opera, and they all become opera lovers because of being involved in the production and hearing singers you bring in, the professionals, and feeling that energy. It just changes people.
It's just about the right experience and the right circumstances where they learn something and they say, oh, you know what, this is something that I can get into easily or more easy than what I thought I was going to be able to get into. It's just it makes sense. That's a great thing.
So has your company have you made any connections with the big festival that's in Charleston? It's a huge summer festival.
Yeah. So yes, Spoleto Festival occurs every May for 17 days, 18 days, something like that. And it has been something that's been happening for decades. Giancarlo Minotti started it here.
1977, right?
There you go. Makes me feel old. Decades ago. Decades, the year I was born. Just...
No, but we're not. The original intent, obviously, was to be we wanted to be a full-time company for Charleston because, again, a lot of when we were doing the groundwork here, building this over the last couple of years, people said, oh gosh, I would love to have more opera in Charleston. It's only here during Spoleto. And so we want to be completely clear of Spoleto's festival. We're not trying to, take over any, pre-existing things. So we're planning on running from September to May, and predominantly producing in that sort of, November to February situation, because, maybe into March and April, depending on how many shows we end up doing throughout the year. But it's such a beautiful time when everybody's looking for a place to escape. And for the last couple years in a row, it's been like 80 degrees on Christmas Day. So
wow. So you picked a great place to move to because the weather allows for you to do concerts all year round.
Yeah,
well,
I mean,
that's
we're
exactly right
yeah.
too. That's I have to say, sorry, I keep cutting
please,
you
go
off,
ahead.
but that's exactly what we're. It's part of, again, not to say thanks pandemic, but we had this opportunity with any time of day. We were going and doing at a lot of the assisted living facilities or the memory care facilities. We were able to go at 10 a.m. when the residents were at their best, in the ability to receive, information. And then also, but for people who, everyone loves a cocktail here in Charleston. And so cocktail hour became, doing these 6 and 7 o'clock concerts, is something that the community loved. Grab a chair, grab a bottle of wine, and listen to an outdoor concert. Great, let's do it. So our environment has also played a huge part in allowing us to do this.
I will say August and even the beginning of September was pretty brutal.
Gracious.
When we got our pickup truck and, we installed a Tommy lift, a gate lift that can lift up to 3,000 pounds. And we get, the piano is in my garage. And so I roll the piano out and I put it up on there myself and I, loading everything. We also have we have a 42-inch LED TV that I hang off of the side of the truck and we project subtitles at the same time.
Oh, wonderful.
And getting all of those things in the truck, like by the time I did that, just in my driveway, I was already spent. And then we'd have to drive to the place, and then I would have to load everything up and get everything ready. And like by the end of that, I was just like, I had to change my clothes.
He's our setup and breakdown crew.
Yeah,
He's
totally.
Our
I mean, I've
crew.
always, I got that roadie beard, I guess.
Yes.
I need your
Tenor
hair.
and
I need a little bit more of your hair, but I think
Well, I've got 17-year-old twin daughters. My hair is retreating rapidly.
Okay, maybe not that kind of roadie then. Nice, but yeah, those were kind of rough. But since then, I'd say since the middle of September, it's the humidity has dissipated significantly, and it's been a lot easier to load up and sing some really great concerts, which we've been doing. And we don't know. We're gonna look, like we said, it's October 14th, and it is 81 degrees out there right now. So we're gonna keep doing these outdoor concerts as long as we can, as long as we keep getting engaged by the community to bring us there and to sing. We're gonna keep doing them as long as we can. So yeah.
Now, what do you both think about the opening of? We're starting to see things opening up a little bit in Europe, certainly in the Far East. I know China. I had a guest from China on there. Their opera houses and their orchestras are open full with socially distancing and masking and such. But we're starting to see things start to open up. What do you think about that, and how will that affect your career, Dimitri? And as things start to open up.
Yeah, I mean, I've been in constant touch with my management through the whole process. I'm fortunate in that I have a contract for the winter or early spring of 2021 that has not been canceled yet. It was one of the only contract the future contract of mine that wasn't canceled. And so just trying to see how the organizations are going to figure this out and what they're going to do. Obviously, when you get 60 to 80 people in a pit that close to each other, there are a lot of problems. I mean, you can socially distance stage something very easily where the people don't come anywhere near each other, but when you've got that pit indoors, it's really hard to keep people from breathing on each other for 2.5 hours down in that space. So that's definitely something that we're keeping an eye on with most of the organizations.
It's also just such a logistical, I don't want to say nightmare, but it's a logistical nightmare to put.
No, it's a nightmare. I have a friend in Jacksonville. The Jacksonville Symphony is actually doing a full season this year at the Times Union Center in Jacksonville, and they're doing smaller orchestra, lighter repertoire, much shorter concerts, and all distance with the winds and brass on their own little acrylic boxes. I mean, It's so different and it's so reimagined that I as a conductor of orchestras in the pits, we're crammed tight, and it's always a challenge. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how we're making those adjustments.
Yeah.
Right. Watching everybody innovate is, some
really
things
awesome.
are going to work and some things are not going to work, but all you can do is keep moving forward and seeing, I can assure you, I did not have sing opera in sundress, barefoot, in front of a pickup truck in my business plan. That was just not like that was not a thing. But and it could have totally failed, right? Like, you know, they're just, people could have been like, no, I'm not coming to hear opera in front of a truck. No, thank you. But it didn't. So you have to try everything, because that's all that we have. You know, Broadway just announced that they're closed through December of 21. I just, we have to keep going. It's all, I mean, like I said at the beginning of the show, it's all I've ever done since I was 4 years old. This is what I do. I exist to make art. I know that my partner exists to make art, that we can do it together is very positive, and figuring out how to, you know, we wrote a letter once that said, please figure out the way forward as we find our way back. I mean, there's just you have to figure it out.
And we will. I mean, I think as an industry, we will. I think, you know, when COVID begins to kind of become a thing of the past, and we all kind of open up that closet door, you know, and the blaring sun hits our eyes for the first time in 2.5 years, we're just going to be completely lost and not have a vision and not have a way anywhere. But eventually our eyes will adjust, and we'll start to kind of figure out our way and see what starts working again. And we have to stay positive about that. Yes, things are shut down now. No, they're not always going to be shut down. So what are we doing right now to make sure that when we open, we're going to get the audiences in? And for us, it's about keeping them engaged.
If there's anyone who can do that in your community, it's you two. You guys are a wonderful, dynamic team, both on the stage and off, and very exciting. How can people find out more about your company and about you both individually?
Oh, well, thank you. I was going to let him do this bit, but apparently. We have a website at holycityarts.org. You can learn more about us and more about our initiatives, our Opera 101 class. The Zoom link is there on our website. So all you have to do is click through on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Eastern. Please join us. This one coming up will be a conversation with our friend Daniel Slater. And then we're going back to our last class yesterday. Today, 2 days ago. Yeah. I don't know what day it is.
Wednesday. It is Wednesday.
Oh, good.
Yesterday. Our class yesterday. Yeah. Pandemic. It's Blur's Day, right?
Was Shakespeare in opera and musical theater. So that was a really cool class, actually, with a friend of mine, Alexander Silber, who is a wonderful Shakespearean actress and singer. And so it's fun to be able to feature our friends also. But yes, holycityarts.org.
You can also sign up for our newsletter on that page, so you can find out about everything that we're doing. And we also, using that newsletter, we'll let you know what is coming up in the lecture the following week. And you'll get your link in the mail that way too.
And I encourage our friends from all over the country to check out these wonderful artists and what they're doing. Hearing news like this is so important for us all, no matter where we are, because it shows what people are possible. So innovate in your communities. Find a way to do that.
Definitely do it. I mean, it's our audiences, and the society needs it. I mean, beyond audience, because audience means that there's some sort of agreement or ticket exchange or whatever. It's not about audience. It's about society. It's about community. It's about our neighbors. And it's
about communicating with each other. And it's, whether you do that by screaming, whispering, singing, ignoring people, patting people on the back, just wash your hands, whatever your way of communicating with people, it's important to continue to do that. We're all shuttered in. And reaching out to make sure that you check on each other, check in on yourself, see what you need for your mental health. I know Mental Health Day was just last weekend. I personally needed a little check-in on mental health. But it is important. It's important. And anything that we can do, if we can do it through art, then that's how we're gonna contribute.
Thank you both so much for joining us on Music Matters today. It really means so much, and continued success to you both.
Thank
you, Jay. It's really great to see you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you for joining us on Music Matters 2020.
Amazing. That was so fun. Amazing.
Can we link to you on our website? Great.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll do. Thanks. Thank you, man. Yeah, and
This was so great.
let's keep in touch because I know we just heard you heard a lot about us and what we're doing, but I'd really love to catch up with you too. Right? I'm thinking maybe we can have like a Phi Mu Alpha reunion or something like that. That'd be fun. Oh man, that's amazing. I'd No, it's so fun.
Right.
It's so fun those things. I love living vicariously through all those people on Facebook when it happens. You know, Dennis and Christine and Ben. Yeah, 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 I know. I know. I know. Well, that'd be fun. It'd be really fun to have a reunion of some sort too. So, did you go?
Yeah.
Were you in? Were you at the university or were you in? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, nice. Yeah, we're trying to actually expand our social distancings up there as well, which I think.
She just wrote to me. You said Columbia, and she wrote to
Who's
me.
she?
The Ellen.
Oh, wow.
Schlafer.
There you go. Thanks for that,
So,
Jason.
yeah, I appreciate the
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's really beautiful. So
That's
awesome, man.
awesome.
Well, listen, this was so fun. Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you for having.
For sure. For
You
sure.
got
We'll
it.
do. Absolutely. Great to see
Thank
you.
you. Talk to you soon.
Ciao.
Bye.